I am the Global Head of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Eli Lilly and Company. It's an honor to welcome you to Keep Rising to the Top. Surrounded by 1,800 incredible women of color, the energy here is truly inspiring. Lilly is a medicine company turning science into healing to make life better for people around the world. Based in Indianapolis, we have been pioneering life-changing discoveries for nearly 150 years. Harnessing the power of biotechnology, chemistry, and genetic medicine, our scientists are urgently advancing new discoveries to solve some of the world's most significant health challenges in areas like diabetes, obesity, oncology, neuroscience, and immunology. With each step toward a healthier world, our nearly 50,000 employees are motivated by one thing: making life better for millions more people. That includes delivering innovative clinical trials that reflect the diversity of our world and working to ensure our medicines are accessible and affordable. We are thrilled to sponsor the Black Enterprise Women of Power Summit and have nearly 40 amazing Lilly women joining us. Give it up for the Lilly crew. And we're all donning our company's color today. This conference is all about celebrating the power and potential of women of color. Today's session, Keep Rising to the Top, perfectly embodies Lilly's dedication to continuous improvement, diverse leadership, empowerment, and global impact, all of which are essential components of the company's mission to make life better for people around the world. Get ready for an inspiring panel with these incredible leaders who are ready to share their wisdom and experiences. Thank you for joining us today. Get ready to learn, take notes, and ask questions. Let's learn, connect, and leave here ready to rise to new heights in our leadership journeys. Thank you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Maya Angelou once said, just like hope springing high, still I rise. And then she went on to say, I rise, I rise. All right. Welcome again to Still Rising to the Top. And this panel is more than just climbing the corporate ladder. It's about the journey. It's about leading with purpose and intentionality. It's about bringing others along the way. And today we have an incredible opportunity to learn from a powerhouse of panel. They're going to talk about the specific career strategies that they use to ascend to some of the highest leadership roles. They're going to share their lessons and the mistakes that they learned along the way. And they're also going to talk about the right mindset. And so if you are aspiring to get to the C-suite in your company, if you're looking to break into a new industry, trust me, you are in the right room. So with that, we will get started because I trust that their stories will leave you ready for action. First, we're going to start with Maya Bowie, VP of Marketing at Walmart. Join me in welcoming her to the panel. Maya has the opportunity to oversee a variety of areas, everything from groceries to consumables to private brands, impacting millions of customers. Thank you, Maya.
Thank you.
Give another warm round welcome. Next, we have Adrienne Hughes. Please welcome her. Managing Director of Business Strategy and Client Experience Executive of Merrill Lynch Wealth Management, a Bank of America company. Thank you. Next, we have Courtney Seard. Give a warm welcome, please. She is a certified performance coach that's known for helping to build leaders and helping them to have the right mindset. One more warm round welcome. And rounding out our amazing panel, we have Maggie Coleman, Chief Investment Officer. She leads real estate equity for North America at Manulife Investment, and she leads strategy, investments, manages risks, and manages real estate across the continent. Thank you so much. So, the first question that I have, ladies, as you think about your career path to the C-suite, some climb the corporate ladder, some use the gala approach where you go to one company and eat at this table, then go to this company and eat at this table, or you build your own ladder. Maya, as you think about your journey, can you talk about what was one strategic decision that you made that helped you really accelerate your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you describe the different types, I'm a little bit of a mix of both. I spent a lot of years at one company. I spent 11 years really engaging, being present. I was in 9 different roles in 11 years, so really enjoyed that. But I think the strategic choice for me was intentionality about what I wanted to do with my career and my life, and just that belief in self. And we talked a lot about mindset. You talked about mindset. I think just believing early on that I had a vision that was bigger, and I wanted to play a bigger role. And so about 11 years into my longest stint at a company, I had a great opportunity, and there were several different options coming my way, and I made the choice to leave. And so I think sometimes it's about staying where you are and being present and patient, and sometimes it's about taking opportunities. And so I'd say that mindset and knowing what's possible for you is where it starts.
That's incredible. And when you talk about taking opportunities, what would you say allowed you to have the courage to step into that?
That's a great question. I think I've been one who's tended to kind of lead with courage for a long time. I was told that early in my career that not everyone has courage, and it's harder to teach. So I encourage you to find that within yourself and to believe in yourself. And I credit my mother and my grandmother for instilling that early on, to be honest. But I think that the confidence of roles that I was in, we heard so many amazing gems from the award winners over the last 2 days, last night and today, and several stuck with me, and I would agree with them, which is sometimes performance in delivering actually breeds confidence and builds that mindset. And so for me, that 11 years of kind of moving both vertically and horizontally, to be honest, kind of really helped me understand that I could move across different functions and roles and make an impact. It just kind of centered a belief that I could do more. And so I think the courage came from both, my upbringing, but also my performance.
I love that, how our upbringing and the different things that we do helps to build that confidence within ourselves. I would love to hear more about your journey, Maggie, as you think about really rising to the C-suite and the success that you have, and then also really talk about that one strategic decision that helped you accelerate your career.
Sure. My one thing is I think a theme that we've heard from the award winners last night, and I'm sure we'll hear more about today. It's really just listening to that inner voice and really looking at how do you like to spend your days and your time, and what really brings out your unique set of capabilities and your uniqueness. I grew up in Indianapolis. My parents were both kind of, again, similar theme. My mom was a teacher, my father was an attorney, and we were raised to either go get a terminal degree, whether that's law school, PhD, et cetera. So I spent the first years out of college pursuing a PhD at University of Chicago in political theory and economics, not commercial real estate, and really found myself struggling because it wasn't what I truly wanted to do. It's what I thought I should be doing. It's what I was taught was the safe route. And so it was probably 2 years of real personal struggle, personal journey to figure out what it is that I really wanted to do. I'm very extroverted, I'm quantitative, all of these things and skills that I had. And so I spent a lot of time talking to people, trying to extract where I could go, and it ended up being in an industry, commercial real estate, which I had no knowledge of. I had zero background. If you ask my parents now, they still do not know what I do. They're like, I think she sells houses, we don't know. And, that's fine, but it was taking a risk based on what I thought my capabilities would be well suited at, versus kind of following what I thought was the right path for me to do. And it's been a decision that has been really rewarding, intellectually challenging, it's not been easy. It's, commercial real estate, as I kind of tell people, is one of the last bastions, I think, of kind of the old guard. It's very hard to get into. It's very challenging to perform and to move up. It's gotten a lot better. But I really think that was the one decision. And again, it was not a decision made lightly, and it was, a long decision. Sometimes these decisions don't come at you, overnight. They take a lot of self-searching to figure out.
And I love how you mentioned doing the self-searching, but also tapping into your network and your village to get that wisdom surround that decision.
Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And I think that that's been one of the, if you talk about your superpowers and where you spend time, because I started in a new industry and because no one looked like me, I didn't have the networks that a lot of my peer set did. So I immediately and purposefully built a network of those individuals who I thought could help me, could vouch for me, could give me insights, and I've done that throughout every stage of my career. And in fact, when I took on the CIO role, and kudos for Manulife and my immediate boss, Mark Feliciano, who's our new global head of real estate, brought me into the CIO role with a very different background than most of the candidates I think that they were talking to. And Mark's point was, Maggie can get us into any room that we need to get into, and that's why we're hiring, part of the reasons why we're hiring her. And so that took a long time to get built up. And even once I got into the C-suite as a CIO, I got a call from a peer, a woman who I've known forever. She's like, there's a CIO secret society. And I was like, I did not know that, but I want in because I want to know. What are you guys talking about? So it's something that you really should continue, and it's been a really good source for me for a number of different moves that I've made throughout my career.
I love that. And I know we have ambitious note takers in the audience, so you do not have to do it alone. Put a period,
Correct.
Underline that. That's incredible. Now, Courtney, I know in addition to being a phenomenal performance certified coach, you also work with Goldman Sachs and helping Black women as they build their businesses. And so as you think about your career path and being able to empower others, what would you say was that one strategic decision for you?
Honestly, I think the one strategic decision for myself was to believe and to bet on myself. And as much as individuals give other people the benefit of the doubt, you should be the main person you consistently give yourself the benefit of the doubt. So learning how to give myself grace, also realizing that what I could live with would be it not working for me, but what I could not live with was never trying. So what I will say is get really comfortable with feedback. A lot of times, I know for myself, feedback is amazing if it's how great I am. However, the feedback that I really, and this came from my own mentor and a separate coach, was that I should search for the feedback that are around my areas of growth. And when I started to frame things and ask for, where can I improve? What are areas of growth? Some of my actual sweet spots of what I do for a living now, I wasn't even aware of it. So it was listening to other people and finding out where I shined, because you can't read the label inside of the bottle sometimes. And then taking that information and then trying on multiple things of, I can do this in this career. I can do this in that career. You were speaking commercial real estate. There was a point in time where I was an appraiser in real estate. I started off my career doing bookkeeping, and I was in accounting. And to me, there was a moment where I said, if I have this job and I have this office, I'm going to be so happy. And I had it, and I was miserable.
That's real.
So I remember being little, and a person told me, you're great at massages. And I'm like, okay, I'll go to massage school. I went to massage school, one of the greatest things I ever did. And until I went to clinic and had to massage strangers, and I was like, ew, that's not for me. So I think when it comes to your career, it's literally letting go of form and realizing that you can have a target, but there are multiple different paths to get there. Another thing that really was helpful in my career was data is everything. So if I was trying something, there's a difference between being consistent and breaking through, and then realizing that this ain't for you and it's not your unique ability. So I think radical self-honesty, radical accountability, and being able to try multiple things and look at it as feedback as not failure has been huge for me in my career.
Oh, that's incredible. You're speaking to a reframe. And that's really important because as we think about this panel, it's beyond just the working hard and overworking. So that's great. I appreciate that.
I love the radical self-honesty. I think that's...
Oh yeah, you have to know yourself. If you don't know yourself, you're going to get yourself into situations and positions where you are not making the most healthy choices for you. So really know what works for you, what doesn't, what makes you thrive, what makes you actually not thrive. And knowing that, you'll take really, really strategic, thoughtful steps.
Excellent. And Adrienne, as you think about your career journey, what was that one strategic decision that just helped you catapult within your career?
Yeah, well, and thank you for asking. It's actually quite similar, right, to the other ladies. And I hear you say the word reframe, and a lot of us are talking about, right, not so much this extrinsic, this external definition of success, but actually looking within, right? So a key inflection point for me in my career was when I moved from the United States to the United Kingdom. I spent 6 years abroad, so 2 years in London, 4 years in Dubai. But I remember when I was like shaking, okay? Coming from the United States, I'd been to like the Bahamas, okay? And that was like the only place out of the country I'd been. And I said, all right, I'm going to do this. And the three things that I think I took away from that experience, and this is an experience going from one country, one currency, to covering 40 countries, 40 currencies, different languages, literally overnight. I'm a young, black female going into Europe. We're putting up the euro. We're taking down the drachmas and the Deutschmarks and all that. And I'm like, you know, it was my husband and I, but we were by ourselves. And the three things that I took away, number one, courage is a decision. You asked that, right? This is not a feeling, it's a decision. Okay? And I want you to take action on that courage. Number two, when I think about what we do, and we've all kind of said versions of this, I want you all to understand your assignment and to whom you're assigned. This is part of, we're talking about your purpose, your who you are. I coach folks as well, and everybody's like, I gotta go find my purpose. And I'm like, no, actually, you don't have to go find it. You have to remove things so that it can flourish, right? Yeah. And the third thing that I want to share that really, it took me a while to learn this third one, is understanding the difference between your value and your worth. Okay? Your value is external, it's driven by market. This is what people outside tell you, but your worth is intrinsic. This is who you are. This is you being worthy. No one can define that for you. And when you are able to sit somewhere and say, oh, wait, I know my worth, that is when things change for you.
That's incredible. As you all are talking, it makes me think of possible items that you have to relearn and unlearn. So I just want to double check. Is this a safe space? Safe space? Mm-hmm. This is a safe space. Many of us have been raised with you have to work twice as hard, keep your head down, don't rock the boat. And as you think about your journey to either the C-suite, your journey along that way, building your company, I want to ask you, what were some things that you had to unlearn? And would you say those sayings either helped or hurt your career? It's a safe space. So.
I would say that the one that really I had to spend a lot of time kind of unlocking as to why it was always there, as well as, again, using my purpose to kind of get beyond it was, you know, I was raised to just use my voice only kind of when asked. Yeah. And as opposed to really, I'd say, being assertive in what I, you know, think about, whether it was a problem or an idea or a solution in a forum that, you know, rewards that kind of thinking. And by that I mean, you know, in any, whether it's with clients or whether it's, you know, sitting around a management meeting
And so it took me a long time to really understand how to deliver what was authentically my perspective versus the perspective that I thought either people wanted to hear or the safe perspective. And that doesn't come, I mean, for some people that comes very naturally. For me, I had to really work at that. And another colleague was asking me about kind of the chatter in your head and how do you move beyond that. And so that was always the chatter in my head was, does this make sense? Well, I think it makes sense. And, you know, well, should I say that? And what I literally would do and how I got beyond that was, again, being courageous, writing down what it is I wanted to say in every meeting until it became natural, until it became muscle memory that you can go with your gut and share and it be okay. And there might be people who disagree. There might be people who say that's dumb. There might be people who and more likely than not, what you're saying people agree with. So it's more of, I think, you getting beyond that voice. So for me, a very practical solution was, you know, and again, some of it's great that we use technology with, you know, Zoom calls now and conference calls because you can have notes right next to you and people have no idea. So I literally, you know, would prepare 2 or 3 things that I wanted to get communicated in any meeting and 2 or 3 questions that just, again, using my voice, demonstrating my voice, and now that comes very natural, and I don't do it all the time, but I still do it. I was on a conference call this morning, and I had 2 or 3 points, so I was like, you know, these are the 3 points I need to get out. And it just, you know, for me, that was the voice that, you know, I think I don't know that you'll ever get past it, but you develop that courage and that muscle memory to move beyond it.
That's incredible, and you gave yourself the permission and the space to do that. So that's another note that you all can write on your notes, and you can apply that Monday. Yeah. That's incredible. Thank you, Maggie. I would love to hear your take on this, Adrienne. As you think about those mindsets we all were often raised on, working twice as hard, and how did you unlearn that? And if you can give an example of like specific steps that you took.
Well, I was working twice as hard, maybe 3 or 4 times as hard, okay? And I was, you know, successful, but there was still something there that wasn't right and it wasn't working for me. So what I had to unlearn,
talk about it,
is, and this is a safe space, is that I don't have to play by their rules.
Good.
Those, you know, yes, I understand the framework and I understand the game, but I also understand that rules are for me. That when I finally came to the, you know, to the realization that no one was in control of me except for me. Mm-hmm. And that was weird because we're taught like, you gotta do this and you gotta do that and you gotta look like them, and you gotta sound like them, you gotta talk like them, you gotta dress like them, you have to fit in. Well, I was trying. I really tried, and I tried to wear all the, you know, I tried to do it, and
it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
And it's not authentic, and I wasn't serving myself, right? And we all know this, right? Like as Black women, especially, and women of color in this world, especially specifically in the corporate world, we're not always validated externally, right? Like it's not, but once you learn that, okay, that's okay, I'm different, that's okay, you're different too, good job. But it's like once you learn that you don't have to do it their way, how they did it, look the way they did it, that's what you can do. And I think it does just come back to, and I'll say this, I'll end on this, I think it comes back to self-love. I think myself included, gonna be like fully transparent, I really just kind of discovered this, I'm on this journey of self-love. We weren't taught to love ourselves. We were taught to achieve, we were taught to be great, we were taught to, but we weren't taught to truly say, hey, I love you. Mm-hmm. And that's an ongoing journey. So when I think about, you know, those 3 things, like not playing by their rules, not trying to people please, but like coming and addressing everything from a place of self-love, that's where things are going.
No, that's beautiful. And as you talk about self-love, can you give some examples of how you built that muscle? Because it is a muscle.
It's hard. It's not hard, but it's not natural. It wasn't natural for me. It wasn't, I grew up in this self-love is selfish Okay, I grew up in this like, put yourself down, put everybody on your shoulders, lift everybody else, take care of yourself last. And I'm not talking about like bubble baths and like, pedicures. I'm actually talking about cultivating the essence of who you are. You came to this planet as yourself, and there's only one you. You're not replaceable. There's no plan B. So when you know that, and getting to know that, and removing all of the rejection, because I had a lot of rejection, okay? Like growing up, people, I was the only black kid in my school, like it was just all that, right? Mm-hmm. And when you kind of take and you remove that rejection and you forgive and you say, look, this is me. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad God made me. Let me go out and be me. Yeah. And I encourage all of you.
You can clap for that, absolutely. I appreciate your honesty and your candor on that, and I would love your take, Courtney. As a coach that has worked with individuals over a decade, what was a mindset or belief that you had to unlearn, and can you give an example of how you're able to really overcome that?
It happens often, believe it or not, that I wasn't worth it and that I wasn't good enough to be in certain spaces and places that I was in. Some of it came from the way I grew up. My mom abandoned me when I was a young girl, and you hear stories of your father not being there, but your mother's supposed to love you. So even having that deep hurt and that deep wound, it was something where I had to like unlearn it, right? So some of the tactical ways that I did it was, doing the hard work, getting in there, unlearning the fact that like me harnessing my mind is not selfish and it's not of the devil, but it's literally from God, right? Another thing that I really had to do, and what I would suggest is, you all have done hard things. From the moment you learned how to walk, that's a hard thing. Mm-hmm. Watch a child, right? What people need to start looking at is, what have you accomplished, what have you achieved? So it's a muscle. I would start building that muscle in my own self. Wow, I accomplished all of this, rather than I need to browbeat myself around what I don't have. Really getting into the habit of understanding that there are certain types of neurotransmitters and toxins that bathe every cell of our body. You can create and make the choice to addict yourself to your success and your behavior and what you believe. So I started to realize that I had to double down on, when I started to have narratives that were not fulfilling to myself, stop it. What do I want instead? How do I want to feel about myself? And literally brainwashed myself to myself. And the more I did that, I created the muscle memory. I started creating the talk track because it became a habit. Then I had all the good feelings, and it made things so much easier for me. Mm-hmm. And everything that I learned are the things that you can learn and that anyone can learn if you choose to make that decision.
It starts with the decision?
It starts with the decision. It starts with your mindset shift to make the decision to show up and put yourself first. That's a choice. And there will always be reasons. However, they're either reasons or results. And you can't take the results. You can take those with you, but you can't take the reasons with you.
That's incredible. Maya, I'd like to get your perspective on this, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a challenge. Okay. I want you to think about, as we focus on thinking of the future of work and return to work and skills-first economy, what would you say is the mindset that we may need moving forward, and thinking about some of the things that you had to unlearn on your journey to the senior offices?
Yeah, I think a lot of the panelists covered what comes to mind for me in this conversation, which for me, very similarly, it has to start with self. And a lot of this isn't just about success, it's about leadership. Mm-hmm. Part of these roles are you're leading big bodies of people, many others, and they need to follow you. And no one can follow you if you aren't centered and if you don't have love for self. So I think Adrienne's point on that was spot on. And for me, went to a great school, had pedigree, but about a year after I graduated from undergrad, I had a daughter, unexpected. Her dad was also on a path to success, and we're both in great places. And so for me, actually trying to prove myself despite this path that I chose, becoming a statistic, was really interesting. And what I found is I focused a lot on my merit. I did work twice, 3 times, 4 times as hard, but I also didn't share myself. I didn't actually share that authentic part of me, a lot of what you said, Adrienne. And so I focused on performance, focused on merit, but I actually didn't really build relationships early. So I was succeeding and I was starting to promote, but there came a point where I was not going to get past middle management if people didn't know me, didn't trust me, and have relationships. So I do think, especially in large companies, like if someone wants you on their team, on their leadership team, it's yes about your merit, it's yes about your competency and what you can deliver, but it's do they trust you? Do they want you around? Do they enjoy you? And so I started opening myself up. At first, I found the grounding in, first of all, I've raised a fantastic young woman, so that was part of it.
Yes, you can clap for that.
But and she watched me on my journey, right? She grew up in a lot of ways with me. I was 23 when I had her, and she's 24 now, so now you know my age. But no, I mean, I think you have to actually let people in, and what I realized that some of the most impactful parts of being at a senior leadership table are actually the relationships you have. Your interpersonal connections and how you impact others. And so it's not so much just about yourself. It's actually about how people feel when they're around you, how you impact others. And so I think that was the biggest thing for me.
That's incredible. Thank you, Maya. Yeah. And I'm curious, Maggie, as you think about your career and you reflect on some of the things that you had to unlearn, what would you say were 2 skills that you had to build to help you ascend to the C-suite?
I'd say, one skill that comes very natural for me and that I've really spent a lot of time developing is I'm very good at connecting with people. And so I think what you're describing, Maya, in the room where, you're at the table with other business leaders or they're asking to have you, join conversations, I think a lot of that comes from a peer's ability to lead through influence. And I think when you can connect, like deeply connect, and I echo what you're starting to unpack here, which is that authentic self, that self-awareness, that ability to be vulnerable, that ability to talk about the things for, as Black women, but also as women, we go through in trying to create these lives for ourselves and our families that aren't often talked about in the corporate setting or in any work setting. And so I think it's the ability to connect with people across business and certainly get deals done and get partnerships started, but it's also really connecting with individuals, whether that's males or females, and understand what's going on with them and being either advocates for them when they're not in the room and or being solution providers for them. And so I think that's always just a skill that's come natural to me. As my dad said when I was little, I had 10 imaginary friends and I could talk to a wall. So that's just who I am. And so again, harnessing that and becoming self-aware of that's something that energizes me, that is energizing for me. Other people, that is depleting of energy for them. And so really figuring out authentically what drives you is I'd say, finding that skill. So that's one skill I think that I have really focused on. And I would say the second skill set for me has, not come easy, which is really developing the ability to deliver messaging and be present, right? And be, kind of public speaking and that. And that's just kind of a core competency, but that's a real skill, and it takes a lot of time to develop. And so while I can connect with people one-on-one, I used to be terrified of public speaking, and so I really had to work on that. But to rise through the ranks, you do have to exude executive presence, and that you just have to kind of sign up. And I just started raising my hand. I raised my hand for things and then I'd be like, God, why did I raise my hand for that? And I would raise my hand for different forums, big forums, small forums, advisory boards, places that you could just, again, practice. And so that's, I think, a skill set that's often overlooked, but again, gets you noticed externally and internally.
That's incredible. And before we transition to Q&A, we will be able to take one question. I want to get your perspective, Maya. As you think about the skills needed moving forward, what's one skill that you had to develop? You talked about opening yourself up and building relationships. Was there another skill that you had to develop beyond the hard working and performance?
I think I covered probably the biggest one, which was interpersonal relationships and impact. But there's a whole host, right? I mean, there's a host. And if you look at my career journey, I spent 11 years at one company. I did make some moves authentically, so I connected with people. And one thing I think that's important and maybe is really important today is being really clear about who you are, and then is the space that you're in, the organization, the company, right for you? The culture, the values. And so I think being really intentional, and what I learned in a couple of the moves I made is great companies. I will not, say anything about any place that I've been, but not every place is for you. Not every place is for you, and know your value and your worth. Mm-hmm. And if it's not feeling right, feel that. Feedback is powerful. I think there's a lot of times where it is us. It's not always the feedback, but sometimes it's not for you. And I'd say leadership and the roles and the relationships you have with your leaders can make a really impactful, it can impact your career. And so if you're in a space, and I coach a lot of people, I mentor a lot of people, and so often it's their current boss doesn't understand them. They come out of a performance review and gotten surprising feedback. They don't think it reflects them. And I always say, take something from it. It is a gift. But at the same time, really assess if that's the space for you. And maybe it's making a move within your current company. Maybe it's making a move outside. But be honest about if the space you're in is for you and if you can thrive there. And make sure you're in spaces that reflect your values and that are right for you. So I'd say that's just something that I've learned along the way. And for me, that meant I've spent a lot of years at certain places, but I've also made moves when I needed to.
That's incredible, being honest with yourself. Please give a warm round of applause for our panelists. We appreciate your candor, your transparency. And at this time, I want to open up the floor for one question. We have the mic here. And I encourage you to say your name, your company, and my question is. Hello.
I heard you say one question, so I was trying to rush up here.
My question is.
Hi, ladies. I'm Juanita Hanley. I'm from ADP. Yes, shout out to ADP. Thank you for all the great advice today, but I do want to take the opportunity for the intelligence, the investment intelligence that's in this room. Most of us in this room have lived through going on, 6 economic cycles, from Y2K to Occupy Wall Street to everything else. And while investing in my career is important, I also need to financially focus on my goals. So I wanted to know the advice from all of you to all of us. How can we avoid the distractions in this current climate and focus on things? When I look back on things I could have done to be more financially off, I would have done that. What are some things you think we should focus on now and things to kind of stay away from so that we can continue to grow financially as well? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your courage with that question. I know that's a conversation many of us are having. Adrienne, I would love your perspective on this question. You could sense it.
Excellent question, and I can actually say it very quickly. I am joined here by 80 women from Bank of America and Merrill Lynch, sitting right here. They have flown, these are the top in the business. You can't get here unless you're the top, okay? They have flown because they are passionate, and it is part of their purpose and their assignment to financially empower those around them, specifically those of us who look like us. We have a room, what is the room? Somebody tell me the room. Next door, where for the next 2 days, we are offering one-to-one financial consulting sessions. They are 30 minutes apiece with top industry professionals who flew here just to deliver this for you. So please sign up, because they're not getting paid for this. They did this because they care and they want to be here for you guys. I cannot give you financial advice on stage. Okay?
Noted.
Because it would actually would not be right for me to do so, because we can't just. Everyone is different. Yeah. Everyone is at a different stage, in a different place, a different risk tolerance, all of the above. But what I will say is that I appreciate your question because it's intentional, it's focused, you can put discipline around it, as well as seek out people who can help you. Somebody said earlier, you don't have to do it by yourself. No, right. Don't. don't. I think that's something we fall into is kind of specifically with finances, like huddling in and not telling anybody and not letting anybody know. We are here to help. Reach out, connect, and you'll make it happen.
Thank you. And I appreciate the snaps. It makes me look on poetry night. I want to thank you, and I know that we have just scratched the surface on the conversation, and our hope is that you're able to take these conversations in your sister circles, with your peers, and we would cultivate honesty about what it takes beyond just performance and hard working to make it to the top. At this time, I want to thank Black Enterprise, their amazing staff, our phenomenal sponsors, some who are on the stage now, Walmart, Bank of America, and thank Lilly for hosting this conversation. Our ask, ladies, and everyone in the room is that you will continue to rise. Thank you so much and enjoy the remainder of Women of Power Summit 2025. Thank you.